Citing potential armed protests in states nationwide, the FBI is issuing new security warnings ahead of U.S. President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration. Meanwhile, Congress is considering proposals to establish a national bipartisan commission to investigate the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol building. The next report by Voice of America takes a look at the tense situation in the U.S.
Beefed up security at state capitals across the U.S. ahead of President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration on January 20th, as the Federal Bureau of Investigation tracks online calls for potential armed protests.
And the reason I use the word potential is because one of the real challenges in this space is trying to distinguish what's aspirational versus what's intentional.
The FBI has identified more than 270 suspects and arrested more than 100 people in connection to the January 6th bloody takeover of the U.S. Capitol by supporters of President Donald Trump. Perpetrators were fueled by the false narrative that the election was stolen. Some have been identified as current or former police or military.
This is a problem that has been persistent throughout our history, and that is the association of some members of the military and some law enforcement officers with white supremacist and far-right militant groups.
25,000 National Guard troops and thousands of law enforcement officers from other agencies will guard the nation's capital. Vice President Mike Pence reassured Americans the inauguration will be safe.
That President-elect Joe Biden, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris are sworn in as the new President and Vice President of the United States in a manner consistent with our history, with our traditions.
Meanwhile, investigations continue, including whether some members of Congress aided the attack by giving tours of the Capitol the day before.
If, in fact, it is found that members of Congress were accomplices to this insurrection, if they aided and abetted the crime, there may have to be actions taken beyond the Congress and in terms of prosecution.
Lawmakers have introduced a bill that would establish a bipartisan commission to investigate the attack and address key questions, such as whether there was a failure of intelligence and possible involvement of political officials.
What was the reaction? What was the response? What were critical lessons learned and failures from the response? And what should we take away as a nation in building that a unity of narrative, a unity of experience, so that we have a basis on which to come together again.
Because of security concerns, inauguration rehearsals has been postponed from Sunday to Monday. Patsy Widakuswara, VOA News.
Co-presented by Skoda. Simply clever.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.